we're going to take a look at creating a bouncing ball. And before we do one that goes across the surface, we're going to look at one bouncing in place. So what I did on one frame is I created a timing chart and then I pressed F5. Now what a timing chart is there's one tick here and there's 24 total ticks between all of these here. And what we can do is create our ball and place it at each tick. Now what I want you to notice is I begin to draw these out, these spheres, that we're looking at two things in respect to timing, and timing necessarily has to do with the number of frames per second. And then in order to make things look quicker within that timing frame, we want to look at the spacing. So the more you have things overlaid on top of each other like this, the more evenly or smooth it'll be as you're spacing it out. So say we'd like this to accelerate to a fall. What we start to do is increase the spacing between our ball. So you can see here, little by little, and then I have this here, a little bit more spacing, and then we have our ball start to slow down again as it approaches the ground, and then we're set here. So let's go ahead and take our frame per seconds down to about 12. Let's shrink this down a little bit, just so we can kind of it'll slow it down a bit. So if I hit Shift and Enter, notice that our ball starts to speed up more towards the middle as it begins to fall. So the next thing we want to look at is, okay, so our ball accelerates, right? So if we remove that onion skinning for a second, and let's look at it a little bit closer to real time. So we'll go ahead and jump up to 24 and see how that looks. It's going to be pretty quick, but you can see it comes crashing down. So depending on the consistency of the object, as it reaches our center here, what we want it to do is we want the volume to change a little bit. Now, believe it or not, the volume stays the same, but it just starts to squash out, right? So let's go ahead and turn on onion skinning here so we can see the last frame. I'm going to scale this down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to extend out it'll start to stretch out as it comes down. Let's erase this one too. So we have our guy coming that way. And what I like to do is before my ball hits the ground is I actually do something like this. So I'll start to let it ease. And then on impact, what a lot of people will do is they'll just go ahead and have it start to return to the shape here. What I like to do is I like to have it touch the ground here, like this. And then on the very next frame, I squish the ball. So let's do that. All right, let's see how that looks. And if you want to make it look the movement a little bit quicker, what we can do is start to shift. See how these are still overlapping? I can take the sphere before and make it a little bit closer to this one, right? And we can also move it this way, move it up a little bit, go to the next guy, holding control here. So this is kind of a nice, there we go. So let's see how this looks. And then on the return, just to kind of showcase this a little bit, we can have it spring up again. So I'm going to hit Alt B to select my brush. We can have it sprout up really quickly like that, like that. let's make it go a lot quicker. So the distance equals faster, right? And I'll have this overlay this way. And it'll start to slow down. So let's take a look at this. See how much quicker it springs up. All right, so in the next video, what we'll do is we'll actually look at traversing it across the surface.